Here's how the Washington Post headlines the situation tonight. Quote, scramble for medical equipment descends into chaos as U.S. states and hospitals compete for rare supplies. A mad scramble for masks, gowns, and ventilators is pitting states against each other and driving up prices. Hospitals are requesting donations of masks and gloves from construction companies, nail salons, tattoo parlors. They're considering using ventilators designed for large animals because they cannot find the kind made for people. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said that in conversations with ventilator makers, one company, quote, told me I was competing with FEMA to get ventilators. I called another manufacturer of ventilators, and he pointed out to me that I'd be competing with countries other than the United States. I better put in as big an order as possible in order to put myself higher on the list of priority. State officials and healthcare leaders are begging the federal government to use a wartime law to bring order and to ensure the U.S. has the gear it needs to battle the coronavirus. But so far, the Trump administration has declined. The president has talked about using a wartime law to try to bring order and try to impose the power of the federal government to try to organize, mandate, and meaningfully distribute the medical supply chain in this country. He's talked about it, so far hasn't done it. And where the federal government is acting on trying to provide medical supplies, it doesn't seem to be doing a particularly good job of it. State officials today telling ABC News that what little they are getting from the federal stockpile in terms of supplies includes a bunch of old and expired equipment. New York City says they've gotten 78,000 of the 2.2 million N95 masks they asked for from the feds. Again, 78,000 of the 2.2 million they asked for. The city health department says many of the ones they did get are expired. Of course, they'll take them, but that's not ideal. The Oregon governor's office says they've received 10% of the N95s and gowns and gloves and face shields and goggles that they requested. And, quote, what we are receiving is well past expiration dates and wouldn't be suitable for surgical settings. But hey, in the words of one Pennsylvania health official, quote, a mask is better than no mask. That's where we are right now. The need to nationalize the medical equipment supply chain, to put the power of the federal government to make the supply chain of this stuff better, to rationalize it, to make order out of the chaos, to get enough supplies and quality supplies to where they are needed, and to have the states stop competing against each other and driving these bidding wars. This is not an abstract concept anymore. I mean, why isn't this happening? Connecticut Senator Chris Murphy tweeting this afternoon, quote, just off the phone with the president of one of Connecticut's busiest hospitals. They have enough tests to last 3 days. And their supplier just called. The next shipment isn't coming. President Trump, federalize the medical equipment supply chain. Lives are at stake.